What's up guys? Welcome to AnimeKouhai. If you'd like to help me out, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.
I didn't know what I was going to do when Agera started talking about not being able to win.
She felt comfortable expressing this veiled complaint now that everything was calm once more. She knew Agera would have a strategy, but she was still angry over being so brilliantly exploited.
I didn't say we couldn't win.
Agera countered, but to be honest, he wasn't sure his method would succeed. Of course, everything was fine now, but if Blade Transform failed him, he had no other options.
Right, but you should have discussed it with me first. It's good that we won today, but if we hadn't, you'd be too dead to ever make amends.
Esprit, who almost never left her safe zone during battle, hadn't been in such terrible difficulties in a long time. It infuriated her even more toward Agera.
Well,
Ultima remarked, smiling.
You would never have been permitted to lose there. I certainly would not allow it. Furthermore, Sir Rimuro may not be furious if we lose, but he will be if we die.
I agree completely. That's why I was keeping an eye on you guys through Esprit.
Carrera appeared to be taking a hands-off attitude, but if Agera's team appeared to be in trouble, she would have been the first to rush in. The true struggle for Rimuru's top officers was about to begin in that regard, and, while it was maybe impertinent of her, Esprit wanted to be ready for what was to come. She continued hesitantly.
Is Lady Shion well? We've won the battle, but I don't see her around.
Shion, she supposed, would be absolutely fine. She was suddenly concerned.
No problems there.
Benimaru said casually.
I have a feeling she's forgotten her mission here, but she doesn't appear to be struggling.
Zoe agreed with a nod.
She's overzealous as always. She should understand that repeating the same old attacks will not work. She should think about other options.
Esprit was perplexed by this. They were almost as if they were watching her fight.
So you know what's going on inside?
Testarossa was the one who responded.
Of course. You see, I'm staying here in case anything happens to our higher officials.
Carrera and Ultima both spat out their drink at the same time.
Huh?
Wait a minute, Testarossa. Are you saying that without Esprit's reports, you know what's going on beyond the gates?
Absolutely.
As she stared at them both, Testarossa's smile grew wider. Carrera quickly realized what had happened.
And, are you also watching Sir Rimuro in battle?
Ultima leapt to her feet as the thought occurred to her.
That's so unfair, Testarossa.
Seriously, that's terrible. And Diablo is the same way. Why do you always act as if what you desire is all that matters? Don't you think you could have invited us?
This really heated up Carrera and Ultima, but Testarossa maintained her cool. Benimaru and Zoe felt the same way. One of their given jobs was intelligence collection, and today was a match they couldn't afford to miss. Shion, for one, was completely unaware of this, which is why she was so eager to jump through a gate first. If she had been watching Rimuru's fight, she wouldn't have moved from her location until it was ended. Benimaru, who was aware of this, chose to keep it from Shion. Carrera and Ultima, on the other hand, were visibly irritated. Benimaru was forced to explain himself.
As you can see, Moss's monitoring abilities are really useful. We had him infiltrate each of the 8 gates so that we could put up a monitor for each of them.
It appeared to be running smoothly, implying that Moss was still on the job. Benimaru gave him strong orders to remain on standby and avoid detection by the enemy.
I see. I attempted the other gates as well, but I couldn't even touch them. This dimension appears to be treating Agera as the victor.
Yes, and I, too, am unable to enter.
Zonda, of course, couldn't. He only brewed tea in there. But it appeared that Esprit was also barred from the next challenge. Velgrin's judging standards remained a mystery, although it looked like once you entered a gate, you couldn't enter another unless you directly fought the adversary inside.
Isn't that what we expected?
Yeah, it was wise to send them in first.
Benimaru, Zoe, and Testarossa exchanged nods.
Right, so if one of us is having trouble, Testarossa will come in to help us?
You are right. I doubt it will be necessary because I have other priorities, but if it comes to that, I'll be there.
I'd like to think there's no need, but Sir Rimuru's orders must be considered. We need sure wins here, so don't get too excited.
Carrera spoke with a confident smile. Benimaru and the rest all nodded in agreement. Then Benimaru scowled slightly.
If I were you, Carrera, I wouldn't relax my guard around your opponent.
Well, certainly not, but why?
Wasn't his name Kondo? So far, he's the only one who has seen Moss. A single bullet killed his replication.
Wow. How interesting.
Carrera kept smiling, captivated by her opponent's strength rather than scared of it.
Knowing you, I'm sure I have nothing to worry about.
Testarossa continued.
But if something goes horribly wrong, call for help through a spree.
Carrera raised her hand, her demeanor indicating that she didn't think it was necessary. Testarossa returned the smile. Carrera's behavior was typical. As a result, the assault on the gates resumed. Shion was still tackling one, leaving 6, and with the exception of the one defended by Velgrand, suddenly 5 gates were being attacked at once. Shion, who was now alone, was in for a fight. She had been all smiles and enthusiasm outside the gate, but now her face was filled with awful murder. Minaza, a single-digit ranked 6th in the Empire, was her opponent here. Shion was now exhaling heavily as she scowled at the woman, who Shion recognized as one of the 4 knights responsible for protecting Rudra.
I have to thank you for making this so hard for me.
She yelled in a raging voice. Minaza was also not unharmed. Her uniform was ripped, showing naked skin here and there, but she lacked the damsel in distress charm. She'd stopped using mimicry to mask her true shape a long time ago. She had to if she was going to give her all here.
Stop talking! You are the one who deserves to be praised, even if it is for your worthless attempts. I congratulate you on defeating my children, but you've enraged me, and I will dominate the day.
An unsettlingly enormous number of insectoid carcasses lay at Minaza's feet. Shion had slain all of them. She wasn't joking about the children aspect, either, as an insector, a higher level of existence than insectoids.
Ha! Those grubs mean nothing to me. I've encountered far more strong insectoids on training grounds, so I'm used to it.
What exactly did you say?
Unfortunately for you, I'm a lot more experienced than I appear. You're incorrect if you believe you're the first insect magic-born I've ever faced.
Shion was fatigued, yet she still had a lot of energy. She smiled smugly as she stared down at Minaza.
Razul was more of an insector than an insectoid, wasn't he? If I recall well, he termed it his whole form. Therefore that must have been it.
Minaza's demeanor shifted.
Razul, you're the one who defeated the West Guardian.
Shion took a sniff at this.
I didn't take him on alone, but I did deliver the knockout blow. He was a tough opponent.
I see.
Minaza grumbled. Then she smirked and turned her face down.
So you got him off my back for me. You know, he deceived us. We are a gang of alien invaders known as the Grassers. But after Emperor Rudra welcomed us, we were able to find safety. But he refused to commit his allegiance to us, instead engaging in self-serving behavior. The most unforgivable of foes.
Shion had no idea what was going on. Minaza's remarks were met with a, "What the hell are you talking about?" stare from her. But one thing bothered her, so she decided to ask while she was at it.
Are you saying it's not just Razul? You have people in different regions of the world?
Shion was interested in her pals Zijin and Apito. If Minaza knew them, perhaps killing her wasn't such a good idea after all. She wanted to be certain before making the attempt.
Our home world is home to many sentient creatures. Aggressors like us enter this world through an underworld gate. There are insectors like us, as well as cryptids, with whom we share many characteristics. There are also mystics to consider. We are semi-spiritual life forms, unlike demons, and can freely present themselves in this realm as long as we have enough time.
Shion didn't care if she got an explanation, but Minaza was gracious enough to provide one. This underworld gate reminded her of the gates of hell, which were precious to Diablo and the other demons, but Minaza's world seemed to have 3 major races battling for supremacy. It existed beside the hell that the demons called home, and as Minaza portrayed it, it was plagued by terrible poverty and food shortages. As a result, aggressors like her looked for any opportunity to conquer this realm. They had evidently been sending their compatriots over here for many years in order to extend their domain. Army wasps and other insectoids were apparently involved in this operation.
Of course, the full story is a little more complicated than that. Some races, however, are less inclined to conform to our preferences.
Razul, the commander of this offshoot band, was beaten by Shion's party. He demonstrated that the aggressors were not a monolith, but Shion remembered something else. Apito and Zijin were escaping from someone else when Rimuru captured them.
This Minaza might actually be my enemy after all.
Shion took the decision despite the fact that she had no actual good basis for it. She trusted her intuition and was happy that it had never failed her in situations like these. She was also correct. It was also not a coincidence. Shion was now closely attached to Rimuru, and now Seal, his newfound skill, after dying and being revived once. Its computing abilities were now interacting with the incomplete knowledge Shion had gathered thus far, providing her with profound insight into reality.
So you're basically my enemy?
Ha ha ha! Isn't it a little late for that? And owing to all the time you've wasted talking to me, I can now resurrect my wonderful children.
Minaza's lower torso swelled up the minute she yelled it. Several mouths sprang from it, generally concealed by her military uniform skirt, and each of those mouths was now producing ominous-looking eggs at the same time.
Ha 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 ha! You can put on a brave face, but fighting all of my children has completely tired you. Do you really believe you can win against these numbers?
Minaza came to a halt in the middle of her boasting. It was clear why. Shion's Goriki Maru version 2 flash extinguished away the life of so many insectors as soon as they started.
No, with the help of His Majesty, my children were supposed to have been reborn as warriors with tremendous power.
In many ways, Minaza's power resembled that of Apito's motherly queen. It was called Voracious Resurrection, and it permitted her to revive her children by swallowing their carcasses repeatedly. It was further boosted up when combined with Rudra's ultimate enchantment alternative, the death and rebirth cycle now taking significantly less time. The many insectoids she was giving birth to were just as dangerous to Shion as Minaza imagined. Each had the talents of a high-level magic born, and a couple could even pass for pre-awakened demon lords. Despite the difficulty of the battle, Shion had dispatched all of them. And now that she'd done it, Minaza would never get another chance. Her exceptional Master Chef skill, optimal action, easily defeated the revived insectors in a matter of seconds. Minaza was taken aback. This fast-paced delivery process was generally enough to tire opponents without her having to raise a finger. It was a tried-and-true approach for her, so encountering a wild card like Shion perplexed her. But she wasn't dubbed Queen for nothing. She stood up, enraged, and it was apparent she would not repeat the same error.
You'll pay for it. My children, give your queen mother your strength.
Perfect. Let's see what you have.
Minaza changed into combat form, absorbing her children's power. Shion eagerly engaged her, Goriki Maru version 2 at the ready, and so the long battle started. The battle swung back and forth. Shion was wounded by Minaza's strike, but ultra-speed regeneration rapidly restored her. Similarly, none of Shion's blows could even scratch Minaza's exoskeleton. She was shielded by an ultimate enchantment that included legend-class armor, and even god-class armor would struggle against it. Minaza's speed was faster than Shion's, but Shion was stronger. Minaza had the upper hand in defense, but Shion was far more skilled at healing.
Now on Solo Leveling, Episode 27, a secret meeting ignites the hunt for the mysterious S rank. Don't miss this game-changing moment.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for always watching my videos and supporting my channel. A big thanks to the AnimeKouhai patrons who made this video possible. John Charles, Godman Gaming, Akon Angkok, Markithian Tidwell, Andre L. Hamilton, Adrienne, Kumo, Sanketh Chelu, T. Bush, John L., Steven, TNN, Nicholas Beidel. Thank you so much for helping out. I'll see you guys in the next video.